With this episode of Teen Titans, we begin the character exploration episodes of the series. Obviously, there will be other opportunities to explore the characters later on, but this and the next few episodes are going to be the first brief explorations of the characters so that we can get to know them very quickly before jumping into more complex plots. This episode focuses on Starfire, who we kind of got the sense from the last episode wasn't from around here, based on some of the stuff that she said to Robin in that introductory scene for the team. But in the very first scene, which is a very cute scene between her and Robin, it is confirmed that she is an alien. She's from another planet called Tamaran, and she doesn't really know much about other cultures, so when she first came to Earth, things seemed very strange to her. But thanks to her friends, she's starting to realize the wonders that this place has to offer. And it's just as she is voicing this rather touching sentiment that this very beautiful scene is broken up by the arrival of some sort of flying squid robot drone thing, which scoops her up and tries to take her away. But the other Titans intervene and are able to stop it. Robin himself actually finds a weak point in the robot to break into its inner circuitry and destroy it. The team has no idea what's going on. They head back to their tower, and they find another girl there who looks quite a bit like Starfire, though her hair is a lot darker, who introduces herself as Starfire's sister, Blackfire. She comes bearing a gift for Starfire, a jewel from some alien planet. I don't remember what it was called, but the name of the place isn't what's important. And thanks to all of Starfire's transmissions back to her home since arriving on Earth, Blackfire has heard a lot about the other Titans and is able to recognize and relate to them pretty much instantly, something that Starfire can never do. So Blackfire has pretty much ingratiated herself to the entire group in this one instant. Though Starfire does seem to see through this. This is apparently something that Blackfire does a lot. Blackfire is very extroverted, whereas Star is very introverted. And so the implication is that wherever Blackfire and Starfire happen to be together, Blackfire kind of sweeps everybody off their feet and takes attention away from Starfire. Which is why it's kind of ironic that in this case, she's actually trying to do exactly the opposite in the long run. Blackfire gets along with every member of the team super well. She even teaches Robin the basics of some alien martial arts, something that Starfire is not able to do because she's not a fighter the way her sister is. Yes, she has all these amazing powers, and yeah, she's learned a lot working with the Titans, but Blackfire is an aggressive, outgoing person. She's a natural-born fighter. She is a natural at making use of her abilities, whereas Starfire isn't. So later, when more of those squid drones attack and Blackfire is able to dispatch with them instantly, of course, one of the Titans, Cyborg in this case, suggests that maybe if she's sticking around, she should join the team. Between that and a couple of other cultural misunderstandings that Starfire falls into over the course of this episode, she's now gotten it through her head that Blackfire is not only trying to replace her, but would make a good replacement for her on the team, and she should leave. She's behaving almost as if there's some kind of one Tamaranian per team rule on Earth or something, and they can't both be on the team. As if the other Titans really do intend to replace her with Blackfire, which, of course, they would never do that. She's just misreading the situation, and I honestly don't blame her. It does feel throughout this entire episode like Blackfire is trying to replace her. But up until this point, aside from some weird behavior from Blackfire that we'll touch on in a minute, it really does feel like this is just a misunderstanding between the sisters. This, however, is when, instead of one of the squid drones now, a ship comes down and snatches up Starfire. Just as she's about to leave, and just as Robin is confronting her, trying to kind of guide her in the direction of realizing it's not what she wants, which I thought was cool. He was not forceful with her. He was totally okay with her wanting to leave if that's really what she wanted. That was pretty neat. But anyway, Robin's the only one there. This ship snatches Starfire up, and he's not able to get to her, though he is able to get aboard the ship after he misses his chance to rescue her the first time. And he engages with a couple of armored aliens on the top of this spaceship. And I want to point out just how awesome the fight choreography is in this show. I talked about how good the fights were in the previous episode, how Robin came up with a strategy, and it was possible in retrospect, as we were watching the Titans fight against the Hive mercenaries, to see what that strategy was. Here we see something very similar, and this is most common in fights that involve Robin and someone bigger than him. One of the armored aliens is piloting the ship, the other one, though, is free to fight Robin, and Robin keeps himself low and aims strikes at the joints in the guy's armor so that he can deal damage despite the fact that this guy is wearing armor. And then when he notices that this guy can fire a sort of whiplash tentacle thing out of one of his arms, he positions himself so that he can use that to his advantage, disabling the ship's engines and causing it to crash. They never talk about it. They never explain it. They just trust the audience to see and recognize what Robin is doing, and they never really make Robin out to be some sort of superhuman, despite the fact that he's so skilled. The show treats his abilities very realistically. In instances where he does perform some great feat of strength, he needs a wind-up to it, he needs leverage of some kind. And here, he's able to defeat these aliens, not by out-muscling them, but out-maneuvering them. It's really well done, and I love how they don't explain it, and they just trust that the audience is intelligent enough to see what's going on for themselves. Turns out these armored guys are alien police from that same alien world that Blackfire got Starfire's present from. Blackfire has apparently committed high crimes throughout their entire star system, and they are here to arrest her, and they just mistook Starfire for Blackfire during the first exchange. All of this, every single bit of it, was a setup on Blackfire's part. She used the Titan Tower as a place to hide out until Starfire could be taken away, at which point she could escape to somewhere else. And then, even if these aliens did realize that Starfire wasn't the right Tamaranian, Blackfire would be long gone, and they wouldn't be able to pursue. Which brings us back to the couple of weird things that Blackfire had done earlier. During the second attack by the drones, she had ignored the attack, even though Starfire was in immediate danger. Robin had to prompt her before she would help. And then she was able to attack the drones and destroy them instantly, not because she overpowered them, but because she knew where to hit them to disable them. And Robin took note of both of these things, and I am 100% positive that if these aliens hadn't shown up and forced things to happen more quickly, Robin would have eventually put together the gist of what Blackfire was trying to do and confronted her, or just confronted her with the fact that her behavior didn't quite match up with her intentions. One way or another, Blackfire would have gotten her comeuppance here. But instead, all of these superpowered individuals, all of these heroes, vouching for Starfire is enough that these two police officers basically let her go and confront Blackfire, who is attempting to leave the planet. And the two of them fight, and Starfire is able to defeat her sister in a far less impressive fight scene than the one that we got earlier, but it doesn't really matter. It wasn't a scene about the fight. It was a scene about the dichotomy between these two characters. This was a scene to show us that despite the fact that Starfire is not a natural like her sister, despite the fact that she's not as outgoing, she's not as forceful, that she's much more meek. When she is fighting for what's right, she's powerful. She's just as powerful as her sister, if not more. And we didn't need a drawn-out or well-choreographed fight to make that point. And despite the fact that she tried to set Starfire up, Star is still happy that her sister visited, and she's sorry to see her go. Because at the end of the day, Starfire is just a really nice person. I remember when I first watched this episode as a kid, I was so confused as to why the other characters were buying into Blackfire's shtick. It seemed so obvious to me at the time that she was just playing them, and I don't know if I've just gotten more naive as I've grown up, but watching it again, it actually makes more sense. I think my little kid mind was thinking, well, Starfire doesn't know all this stuff, so Blackfire wouldn't know it either, so she must be tricking them. But as an adult, I realized that Blackfire, just as an extrovert, is a little more cultured. She's exposed to stuff that Starfire wouldn't have been exposed to, so she knows how to relate to people more quickly. On a related note, there's a part of me that wishes the episode had only been about that stuff, had only been about the stuff between the two sisters. Part of me wishes that Blackfire's intentions hadn't been malicious, and that the resolution of the episode had been the two of them realizing that they had each, in their own way, been mistreating and misunderstanding the other. Like, I know this is an action show, and I know that they wanted to set Blackfire up as a villain later on, but wouldn't it have been really cool to find out that the things that she says rings false because she is so worried about impressing people, that she is so worried about people accepting her, that she can't be herself around them, that she has to try to conform to what she thinks they would expect, and that just like Starfire envies Blackfire's ability to fit in with anyone, Blackfire envies Starfire's ability to be herself around anyone. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling. It's not as if I need to fix this episode. It's not as if it's a bad episode that needs fixing or anything. We get to learn a lot about Starfire. We get a really good sense for her personality. But in this episode, which focuses primarily on her and her history and her personality, we still get good character moments for the other characters too. This is a great example of how this show just jumps right into complex character interactions and character development very seamlessly and very effectively, and I adore it for that. But as per usual, I'd like to know, what do you guys think of the Teen Titans episode Sisters? If you have seen it, let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below or over on my Discord, link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.